I joined the church as a kid with my family, and then grew up in church, started serving as a volunteer sound tech, and I spent every Friday night just trying out new things. While we were building, I kind of figured we didn't really have the skill set, so I decided I'd go to a bigger church just to learn about systems, try to get as much information and make sure that everything kind of pieces together and works. And in the meantime, we also met Thomas as he introduced us to Riverview, one of the bigger churches here in Perth.
They asked me to just help out with the team because the team was so new to a facility of of this magnitude. I was contracted for 6 months to just 2 days a week just to train their teams, help them to make all the workflows with regard to the AV system. I think towards the end of that, they asked me if I could stay on to become a full-time staff.
We had done some work previously with Thomas on Riverview Church. So he approached us to provide some pricing on a bill of materials or a design that they had already started. We then worked with them workshopping the various systems, audio, communications, video, different technologies that they wanted to put in. They initially started with it going to be projection at the rear of the stage. They were going to do 3 projectors, but they wanted to see what their options were with regards to LED.
We definitely was initially looking for the laser projection because it's a lot more consistent in terms of quality. There's a lot less heat, so there's a lot of advantages and a lot less maintenance. After doing a couple of price comparison, we felt LED was the way to go because it allows us a lot more flexibility.
The environment calls for the focus to be on the minister who is, preaching to the crowd and for the musicians. So they want all of that technology to disappear, really. So wedges built into the stage and under grills so that, I guess, 1, it doesn't pose a trip hazard, and 2, it's out of sight, out of mind.
The D-Live just came out, and I was really amazed by how much power it had. We've always used Sennheiser mics, and we found them to be reliable. So we had EW100 G3s, and then we moved to EW500 G4s because they just came out. It just helps us network everything and monitor everything nice and remote, which is really helpful. Our bands more or less do their own monitor levels. So every week we try to reset the levels to a default, and then they rock up to an IP6 or IP8, depending on if they're a vocal or if they're a band member, and they just adjust their own mix. Having everything run through the DM64, we can still help them at front of house. We can still do the monitors for them if they need a hand. We originally were using an EV system, which was nice and punchy and loud. I just want to play on the safe side for our volunteers and just make it as easy as we can. So the acoustic stuff came in at a very reasonable price for what I was expecting. I've heard them obviously at Hillsong used to use them for their conferences and stuff like that, and I've heard their big spaces and small spaces, all their stuff, and I find that their sound signature is very smooth and it's very easy to listen to, I guess.
When we designed the space, we knew that we only have 2 cameras to start with, that eventually we see ourselves running 6 cameras. And also because the church is growing, we never know where we will need to broadcast to. A lot of this planning in terms of the facilities for video, for broadcast, is to make sure that it's future-proof. So within the auditorium, we have at least 10 or so different fiber points, camera fiber, that we allow us to be able to put cameras in various positions. The broadcast room currently that we have, or the media control room, is actually in the back of the auditorium. One of the huge advantages of having a room that size is we can expand the teams as and when we need to. So recently we went to live streaming on Facebook, and so we actually have enough space to do that, and probably even more so if we want to expand on more cameras, more mixing positions, more media controls capabilities in the building itself.